Today we'll be discussing the Bafx products all-in-one IR repeater cables. We will be going over the basic setup of the kit and how to find the proper IR emitter placement on your devices, along with some troubleshooting information if you are having difficulty getting the kit to work. First, let's go over the basic setup of your repeater cable. For today's video, we'll be using the single head kit. Less wires, less mess, easier to deal with on my end here. Setting up the kit's pretty easy. You have a USB power plug. You have an IR receiver that you point your remote control at. And then you have the smaller IR emitter that goes over the IR sensor on your device you're trying to control. So to power the repeater kit, you actually have two options. The one most people will probably use is plugging the USB power plug directly into their cable box or their TV. So for my demonstration purposes here, I will be finding the USB port on the back of my cable box. I will plug it in, and that's how I get power for today. The other option is to power it via a USB wall adapter. Those do not come with the kit, they're sold separately. You're looking for a 5-volt wall adapter. Usually the ones that come with your cell phone will even work just fine. Once you have your IR repeater cable powered on, you should see a dim green light on the IR receiver. Not sure if you can see it here, but it is on, and that's the only light indicator that you're going to get with these kits. The emitter heads do not light up, so if you're having any troubles and you don't see light coming out of the emitter, that's perfectly normal and fine. So once you have it plugged into your power source, you're just going to take your IR receiver and place it within the line of sight of your remote control. So wherever you want to point your remote control at, it might be on the bezel of your TV, it might be on the front of a cabinet, something like that. So you'll place that where you want to point your remote, and then you'll take your IR emitter, and after locating the IR sensor on your cable box, you'll place the emitter over that, and then simply point your remote control at the IR receiver, and you should now be able to control your cable box or other device through the repeater kit. One thing that is very important to note is the IR receiver should be facing the user of the remote control at all times. So don't mount your IR receiver facing down like that or facing up like that. The receiver can accept a signal from your remote control, generally speaking, at about up to a 45-degree angle from head on. So using your remote control from the side like this won't work. The remote control would need to be pointed directly at it, or up to 45 degrees off to the side, up, or down. That's really about all there is to setting up the kit. If you are having trouble finding the proper IR emitter placement on your device, continue watching. The next thing we're talking about is finding the proper emitter placement on each of your devices. Some devices it's very easy, other devices it's a little more tricky, and yet other devices it seems near impossible. There's a few different methods how to go about doing this. For a box like this, it seems pretty obvious that the IR receiver or sensor on your device is somewhere within this window on the face of the device, which is correct. However, I've actually chosen this device today because the emitter placement for this unit is actually not where you would think it would be, even though that's where the IR receiver is on this unit. We'll come back to that in a minute. First, there's other boxes where the IR receiver might not be so apparent. So to find your IR receiver on these types of devices, one thing you can do is you can shine a flashlight at an angle a few inches away from the cable box like this, and what you're looking for is a slightly discolored window on the cable box, which is right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but shining the flashlight like this, I can see that there's a small discolored circle here, and that's going to be where your IR sensor is. Now, sometimes devices with a face like this may not have that small discolored area to tell you where the IR receiver is, or it might have a face that's completely opaque like this. If the face of the device is smooth and semi-transparent like this, and you can't find the IR sensor by holding the remote control a few inches away like that, another thing you can do is you can place your flashlight directly flush up against the face of the device and slowly move it along, and then peer into the side of the flashlight there, and you can usually see behind the face of the device then, and you're looking for a small dome behind the face of the device, and that's usually your IR receiver. Now, if you've located the IR receiver on the device where you think you should place your emitter, but it's still not responding, the emitter could be overpowering the IR receiver, or your device could just be a little finicky and need a very particular placement. So in the next segment, we're going to go over how to resolve that issue. Alright, so you're pretty confident that you found where the IR sensor is on your device, and you're pretty confident you have the emitter in the correct spot, but your device still isn't responding. Or the face of your device is completely opaque like this, and you have no clue where to put the IR emitter. What do you do? Pretty easy. What we're going to do is a trial and error method, essentially. You're going to want to place the IR receiver of your kit somewhere that you can point your remote and the device won't be in view of the remote, so it's not getting a stray signal from the remote, and you know that it's being controlled through the kit. So for today, I've placed it on that table a little bit behind me, and I've got my emitter over where I think I know the IR receiver is on this device. Yet we're going to watch this yellow button scrolling here, and I'm going to try scrolling it, and you'll see it's not scrolling even though I have the emitter over where I think the IR receiver is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that emitter off, and then on the back side of the emitter you'll see there's a small eye. You want that eye facing the device, and you're going to hold it about a ½ inch to an inch in front of the device, and then you're going to try controlling the device through the repeater kit while slowly moving this emitter around the face of the unit until you start seeing a response on the TV or a response on the display of the device. So I'm just going to start pressing the scroll right button here, and I'm going to start moving the emitter around. Oh, I got a little response there. It's still responding, so I'm going to bring that emitter in, and it looks like we're good to go. So you'll notice that the emitter is not over the IR receiver on this device, clearly, and it's actually off to the side on the more opaque area. Some devices, the emitter can be overpowering the IR receiver on the unit, so that's why it might need to be placed off to the side. Or if you just can't see where the IR receiver might be, this method will work for that too. Now we're going to discuss double IR signals and why that can be a problem. Say for example, you've gotten your kit set up and you've gotten the device to respond to the kit, but you find that in your day-to-day operations, the device just isn't responding very well. Maybe it takes a few button presses to get the device to respond, or there's a long delay, or you've tried, without any success, finding the proper emitter placement on the device, and you've done the trial and error method, you've located where the IR receiver is, and the device still isn't responding. A lot of times the cause of this can be a double IR signal. What I mean by that is if the device is getting a signal from both the emitter of our repeater kit and your remote control, or from the emitter you have attached to the device, along with a loose emitter head on, say, our dual or our quad head kit, The device will then be getting 2 IR signals. This can cause some devices to become confused and thus not respond to any of the commands that it's getting. So to demonstrate this real quick, I have my emitter placed on the device here, and if I start scrolling to the right, it works. Now if I take my loose emitter head over the dual kit and I bring it in front, it stops responding because now it's getting 2 signals. If I pull it away, it starts responding again. That's what will happen with a double IR signal. There are some remote controls that have such strong IR signals coming out of them that even if you have your device in a closed cabinet, that IR signal can still get through the cracks of the cabinet and cause problems like this. So if you're not sure that that might be the cause of the problem, a temporary way to fix this is place a very thick blanket over the device you're trying to control with just the emitter head attached to the device under the blanket with it. Take your spare emitter heads, make sure they're tucked off to the side. You can pull the emitter heads apart like this to allow you to do that, but do not cut off your loose emitter heads. That'll cause the whole kit to stop working. So temporarily cover your device with a thick blanket and try controlling the device again through the repeater kit. If you now get better performance, that means you have a double IR signal issue. There's a very simple fix to this, and all you have to do is take a piece of thick black or silver duct tape or electrical tape, something like that, and place it across the back of your emitter head, like so. Now, to demonstrate, you'll see I can still control the device, but this time, now that I have the tape there, if I bring my other emitter head out front, it still responds. If I pull it away, it still responds. Because now we're isolating the device so that only the signal from the attached emitter is getting to it, and the tape is blocking out all stray other signals. One thing we need to discuss real quickly are harmony remote controls. We just talked about the double IR signal, and the harmony remote controls can contribute to that issue greatly. Reason being is harmony remote controls are great remote controls, but the problem with them is they send out a very strong IR signal. So in some cases you could have your device hidden in a cabinet with the doors closed, and the signal on this is so strong that a lot of times it can seep through the cracks in that cabinet, still get to your device, and cause a double IR signal issue, causing you to get sporadic responses from the device or no response at all. As an example of how strong the IR signals on these remotes are, in a lot of cases you can point them at a wall opposite your device if the device is out in the open, and the signal will bounce off the wall and still control the device. So if you have a harmony remote control and you're experiencing sporadic responses from your device, first you can test it if you have the original remote control for your device by seeing if that'll work through the repeater kit the way you have it set up. Otherwise, try covering your device temporarily with a thick blanket and see if that helps improve performance. If it does, then use some duct tape or black electrical tape to block out the stray signal that you might be getting from the harmony remote control. Earlier in the video, we discussed how the 2-head and the 4-head repeater cables are different from the single head in that the emitter cables plug in to the rest of the kit via 3.5mm jack. That's so that you can actually extend the length of your emitter cables if they don't currently reach the devices you're looking for. To extend the length of your emitter cables, you're just going to want a 3.5mm headphone extension cable. You'll note that the male plug on our repeater cables are a mono plug, meaning they have one black ring around the tip. However, you can actually extend using a stereo cable or a mono cable. It doesn't matter. Both will work. Generally speaking, the stereo cables, which are the ones with the 2 black rings around the male tip, are cheaper and more abundant than the mono cables. So then you can just plug your emitter cable into that extension and plug the extension into the IR receiver, and now you've just added length to your emitters. Like I said, you can use either stereo or mono extension cables. Like I say, the stereo cables are more abundant, generally a little bit cheaper. We don't recommend extending your emitter cables more than about 50 feet. Beyond that, you might start encountering problems with the signal loss. Also, if you're running that extension past heavy electronics or heavy electrical wiring, that can start causing interference. So generally, we don't recommend extending it more than about 50 feet at most. So yeah, that's about it. If you're still having troubles getting your cable box, receiver, DVD player, soundbar, whatever, working with the repeater kit, get in touch with us. We have tested hundreds, if not thousands, of different devices with our kits. We know a lot about the particularities of some of the more finicky devices and how to get them working. And if you're having a problem with a device that we haven't tested yet, and we haven't heard of complaints with that device before, we will actually go out, buy the device, get it tested, find out how to get it working, so that we can get you up and running. You can see we've got a lot of devices behind me that we use for testing, and that's not even half of them. So, like I said, if you're having any issues still getting your kit working, reach out to us at info@bafxpro.com. That's info@bafxpro.com.